I'm still holding it. I've trailed my stop on it. My stop loss is just below market structure here that we recently saw.
Month over month, year over year is all expected lower. And what we've seen over time is a overall decline. I
Mm.
think the fear is that if rates stay the same like they have been the past 2 months.
How do you play this? Obviously, you can't chase. When do you participate in being a dollar yen bull now that it's kind of made the run? Game plan for CPI. What are you thinking?
And dollar strength.
Okay.
And higher
Dollar
oil.
strength. All right.
So oil is already moving.
Mhm.
I posted that trade, was it yesterday or something, or this morning? So yeah, I'm in at 76.62, hoping for 83 and some change. So that's one way of playing the CPI move, and then the other one is dollar strength. One was to sell euro this morning, or yeah, Australia maybe, but also pound. So I've said to people, at least in the VIP this morning, that if you were going to do something, this is your levels on pound. So we are going off the first one. So we'll see if that works out.
So Ivan, dollar strength. What is
Mm.
the idea behind that? Why dollar strength? Because I feel like consensus, right, is the disinflation story continues, and why is it because that's so expected that you're thinking it could be otherwise?
Just give a question to. Well, no, sorry, I'm here. So the reason is basically because of shelter. Shelter is still rising. Shelter is still one of the contributors for higher CPI. So to me, shelter isn't like very easy to flip around. It's not like very volatile. It keeps going.
Hmm.
And after the meeting with what is it called, Barkin, the Fed president of Richmond, he says that the businesses still sees demand. They still see.
Oh, do we lose Ivan?
Right now, because
There he is.
people still have money. People still have demand. So yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, and I guess same question to Frank. I think I'm more in the camp of thinking I think the inflation story continues to go in the right direction, but we will have to see. What do you think, Frank? I mean, how are you? None of us know, right? So first of all, as I said earlier, none of us know for certain what's going to happen with the CPI number. But let's, kind of how we generally do these is we talk about like if X, Y, and Z happens, how do you react? So I guess Frank, what do you think about if inflation comes out hot or cool? How do you I guess approach this week?
Well, first of all, to keep our names in congruence, I think we should all change our names to Ivan so there's no
Okay.
confusion.
Yeah.
But on another note, if we're talking about CPI expectations, what I guess Ivan is expecting is higher CPI. We beat expectations, and the rate is not going the way we think. However, I'm hoping that we see expectations met as core is supposed to be unchanged, and then month over month, year over year is all expected lower. And what we've seen over time is a overall decline. I
Mm.
think the fear is that if rates stay the same like they have been the past 2 months, and they've been rising the past four, um, is this like the bottoming of inflation because we have good economic numbers and NFP and all this stuff? Or are we going to see, this is just sort of a minor obstacle in the overall trend? So hopefully we see I guess for our S&P trades, we want to see a lower overall. Um, and it's not unlikely to see that the indices have been selling at the start of the New York session today. Just not a lot going on, just expectations and not wanting to be in a giant move when it happens. and also the delay in the CFTC releasing their smart money data. We don't really know what's going on yet, so there's
Yeah, and
a lot of
just to comment on that, Frank.
uncertainty in the air.
Just to comment on that, Frank. Yeah, the COT data has not come out this past week, which is a little bit concerning. It does, I guess, happen sometimes that they have delays in getting their data out, but it is kind of creepy that it's happening right before the CPI number. So, anyways, the point is that the CFTC puts out the commitment of traders data each week, which of course the Edge Finder pulls and puts into our UI for traders to look at. But unfortunately, we have not gotten any data from the CFTC. So we are kind of operating in the dark when it comes to what big money did in the latest filing. So I think we're left looking at other factors this week, which is kind of again, not ideal, but it is what it is. It's I got to put my tinfoil hat on because it's very peculiar that it happened right before CPI numbers to see what the big money did. But yeah, I guess we'll see.
Want to stay up to date with all the latest trading information? In the description below, you'll find the link to join our free Discord. The Discord gives you instant access to lots of helpful material like free trading courses, chart analysis, updates about what's happening in the A1 community, as well as discount codes for our other products and services. The best part, all of this and more is 100% free. So go down in the description below this video and check it out for yourself. If you're interested in upgrading to the full VIP Discord featuring our team of expert traders Signals, you can use the live chat link in the description to get connected with one of our team members in seconds. So don't wait, go check out the free Discord today.
In some ways, I'm looking forward to CPI to give us some clarity as to whether or not I keep holding. For me, it's that S&P trade. Am I going to hold that S&P trade? It's going to come down to CPI, because if we see progress, boom, I'm staying in there. And if we don't, then I need to take profits and get out of my S&P position. So really important there to see. What do you think on the S&P, Ivan?
Aren't you mooning it? Like, I don't know. What, 45?
S&P?
46? Yeah.
I'm still holding it. I've trailed my stop on it. My stop loss is just below market structure here that we recently saw. I'm trading the ETF SPY, of course, so it's a little different in price from SPX 500, but stop loss is just below this previous low. And in the way I see it, if CPI comes out really hot, it's probably going to take me out for a profit. And if CPI survives, I'm all about trying to survive. I think Frank and I are in the same camp. We're just trying to survive this CPI report, because if it stays in progress and in line, hey, I would love to hold this thing for the rest of the year if I could. It's just going to come down to what the market wants to do.
But also, you're holding 10K. Like, what do you mean by surviving? What do you mean by
but we don't talk about it,
bro? Like, what's the matter with you?
Well, yeah, I mean, it is true. It's been a remarkable trade, but it's if you ignore the P&L side and you look purely at what the market is doing, I don't think that this is necessarily unbound. Like, it could totally continue. And I don't think, oftentimes I make this point. Yes, you have some resistance, but again, we're fundamentalists by nature. We're talking about things that could change this. And at the same time, one of the things here is that I think greed right now for me would be taking a profit just because I see a green number or a blue number or whatever. I think for me, the real patience here is if this market wants to do something like this, you have to have so much patience and discipline to try and stay in. Frank and I talked about this last week. It was like, this thing is exploding. This is awesome. But the second you just take profits because you're scared, that's when the market does one of these moves and you miss it. So of course, I will take a lesser profit if the market shows me signs to. And I think, like I said, Frank and I have our stops in the same spot. So we're both looking at this and saying, if this thing reverses, take a profit and be glad you had the trade. And if this thing wants to keep running, have the patience and discipline to stay in it. So I think that's my game plan this week.
Also, the reason for why I say it is, I don't know for how long, but the bullish move that has happened on S&P 500 / Nasdaq has been one of the strongest moves in years. So it's just the move in itself has been so explosive. That's why I'm like, but you're thriving. Like, just keep whatever you're doing. And yes, 10K is not much fallout, but the point is that it's in profit. So and you're just doing what your strategy tells you to do anyway. So yeah, that's all.
Yeah, no, I definitely understand. I can't help but totally feel that way, Ivan, where it's like, when you have this massive runner and there are probably some overbought indicators kind of creeping in, it is a very natural feeling to be like, I need to get out of this trade. And for me, it's really just going to keep it to my rules. If market structure breaks, profit, sure, less than I might have taken. But Frank, what do you think about that? Oh, did I just lose connection for a second? I think we're okay. Never mind. Frank, what do you think about S&P? How are you playing it this week? Because you've still got that same trade.
Yeah, so I think you can actually look at it a couple ways too. To Ivan's point, if this is going to break structure, it might do so even before CPI. So what we're at now is hovering in profit. We could just, check this off the box, take our profit, wait for tomorrow's news and look for a re-entry. Or we could stay in if price doesn't break structure that we're looking at, wait for CPI. If it comes in the way we want, then we hold and ride it to another leg upwards. Or I guess we could hold and double down based on what we see in the data and where the market's priced at. So there are a lot of different things to consider. However, just, seeing how hard it moved in such a short amount of time, it's kind of like gold. Gold did that exact same thing early October, and now it's not finding any more bullish strength. Right. Because it was just so exhausted on the buyer's side. So I guess fundamentally it could be good news. Technically, if there are just not a lot of buyers despite this CPI, we could still see a sell-off in the market and I guess not realize the maximum potential of profits we have. But it really is just preference. Like, at this point, it's how much money do you want to walk away with?
It's a very good point. I mean, there is not, one single way. And I think, there's the idea of, like, you could say, how do you manage this position? You could take partial profits. You could close out entirely because you're realizing sort of like, maybe you just realize that profit and you say, hey, if it gives me another entry, if it pulls back, I'm back in. And then, of course, Frank and I's style of trailing stops, it is very much just your, personal preference on how you manage position and what you've tested and done yourself. So not necessarily a right and wrong ways, but different ways to handle it. Ivan, I want to ask you about one more market, dollar yen. Look at this, 151.75 coming into play here. What do you, some people are asking about dollar yen, pointing out that it just hit a new high. Do you have any thoughts on this pair?
Can I cry?
Sure, go ahead and cry. Proceed to cry.
My thought is cry. Yeah, okay. I wanted to buy it on here, but it never reached my entry, and then it says, bye-bye! So yeah, lovely. I like it, but it didn't want to be without me, so I did the other pairs. But a lovely run.
Yeah, so what do you think, Ivan? I mean, as it reaches this high point, I think we have a general way of thinking. Ivan, you and I have been doing this together. Frank has been joining in on the parade for the last year or so on the streams. I think generally speaking, many people are going to feel like that FOMO. They're going to be like, I want to be on this so bad, and sometimes that happens. It happens to the best of us. Ivan, you and I have been doing this for a long time, and it still happens to us. I mean, Frank as well, all of us. I just know we've talked about this so many times on the stream. When you get this big hot run, and it reaches, what seems to be like it's never going to stop going up, it's very easy to feel that FOMO. But I think the best way to handle it is stick to your plan and wait for that proper entry. So I guess, Ivan, how do you play this? Obviously, you can't chase, but how do you be a participant in dollar yen and or not necessarily be a participant, but when do you participate in being a dollar yen bull? Like, now that it's kind of made the run.
That's funny move right there. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Oh yeah, look at that flip really fast, that resistance.
Yeah. So, okay,
Oh.
so how do you do it? You do it when
Ivan, we just dropped 50 pips on dollar yen.
yeah, so that's from I'm stunned. I'm waiting.
What just
I'm
happened on
looking
dollar
at
yen?
PNL, I'm looking at things, but yeah. I can see it.
What
I
just
saw
happened?
it.
That's actually a crazy move. We just had like a 50 pip drop.
I think just because it was 10 o'clock.
Bank of Japan, look at the 1 minute. Oh, wow. Yeah, maybe it just said 10 o'clock is the time, the witching hour. What? This is crazy. I mean, it's dropping. If you take a look at the 1 minute chart, it just dropped precipitously as we pulled it up. So maybe we just cursed it. This is a crazy move all of a sudden.
Yeah. Also, by all means, yeah. So how do you do dollar? How do you do yen strength? You need to wait for wage growth to persistently rise, and then you need to have the Bank of Japan actually change their policy, maybe increase some interest rate. But apparently, Bank of Japan is it's a tricky one. They are definitely pulling some strings out there, and then now they're going to say that the market was the one pushing it lower. But yeah, so it went to 151.90. I was expecting 155 for some reason, but okay, cool. Maybe we fall down. Maybe we're down at 149 tomorrow. Well, if CPI goes out in the forest.
Yeah, very much, I guess, dependent on that CPI number. And like you said, maybe it's literally some traders at the Bank of Japan saying, yeah, that's resistance. We're going to try and hold it here. But that is a precipitous drop right after we hit resistance, literally on stream. We were just saying, hey, it just reached a new high, and boom, it dropped like a rock. That is definitely something to monitor. I think one thing I would add too, Ivan, is like if you get that breakout beyond that level, it again is the same story we've been seeing for some time. Watch for these levels to try and hold, and if they break out, they generally seem to just want to continue. But I guess we'll have to see how this progresses. It could come down much lower very quickly. So I guess we'll have to see.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be a very interesting day.
Don't forget to check out the links in the description if you want our broker recommendation, access to our free Discord, free Edge Finder, or want to chat with us on Telegram. Remember, you can watch us live in the markets every morning starting at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time, and we have lots more free trading tools and content available on our website, a1trading.com. Thanks for watching.